Hello there, everyone. If you're watching this video, then you are part of the TTOR Army, an army that is building itself up one subscriber at a time. And as you can see from the title and thumbnail of today's video, today we're going to be talking about Paulogia again. But before we get into talking about Paulogia, well, we have to talk about one very important thing first, and that important thing is Quarter. As you can see on screen, Quarter is an open source alt-tech alternative to YouTube that I founded a little over a year ago, about 13 months ago roughly. Quarter is a YouTube alternative, has a lot of the features you would expect to see on YouTube. So you have full HD uploads, including 4K video capacity, depending upon which server you upload to your channel from. You also have live streaming, you have free restreaming, you have an easy-to-use comment moderation system, you have public playlists, and other features that you would see on YouTube. But you also have features on Quarter that you won't find on YouTube, such as Quarter Bucks, which is an insight currency that you earn by getting views on your uploads, and then in turn you can use your Quarter Bucks to promote either individual videos of yours or your entire channel on the main page of Quarter. Another feature is video chat rooms that you can create. YouTube back in the day used to have Google Hangout rooms that you could create from your channel, and then you could live stream to your channel from the rooms. This works basically the same way, but instead of Google Hangouts, it's an open source Google Hangout alternative. So you can create video chat rooms where you can do video calls with your friends, family, coworkers, followers, friends, other content creators, etc. And you can also live stream to your channel from these rooms. And aside from all the awesome features and functionality that Quarter has, Quarter also has freedom of speech, real freedom of speech. Because on YouTube, there are certain topics you're not allowed to talk about. And on YouTube, there are certain topics that you're allowed to talk about, but you're not allowed to make any kind of monetization off of them. None of those things are a thing at Quarter. You can talk about whatever you want, I don't care, as long as it's legally protected by the First Amendment of the United States of America, which is the country that Quarter is hosted in. So if you're a content creator looking for a YouTube alternative that will not censor your speech, or if you're someone looking for a video site but you're not yet a content creator and you're looking for a site that has real freedom of speech since YouTube doesn't, Quarter is the website for you. I would encourage all of you to create an account on Quarter and start uploading your content to it and spreading the word about it today. Now that we've gotten through the Quarter announcement, let's talk about Paulogia, the subject of today's video. Now, when I put out that almost 2-hour-long video response to Paulogia's video about me a couple months ago, or however long ago it was, I expected that to be the last video I did about Paulogia for a good long while. I was pretty much I shouldn't say I was forever done, but I was done for a long period of time. I wanted to focus on other things. But then I came across a tweet regarding Paulogia on Twitter a couple days ago that I just knew I had to make a video about. Now, today you're going to see Paulogia make self-defeating statements, or at least one self-defeating statement in a recent debate he had with Eric Hovind. But before we get into that clip, let's talk about a self-refuting idea. The Wikipedia definition of self-refuting idea is this: a self-refuting idea or self-defeating idea is an idea or statement whose falsehood is a logical consequence of the act or situation of holding them to be true. In other words, if a statement is true and the logical consequence of the statement being true is that it's false, that's a self-refuting, self-defeating idea or statement. So, for example, if you say that there is no such thing as objective truth, that is a self-defeating statement because the statement itself posits to be an objective truth. The statement is essentially saying it is objectively true that there is no such thing as objective truth. The problem is the statement itself claims to be objective in nature. And if it's objectively true that there is no such thing as objective truth, then the statement is false because the statement itself would be objective truth, which means that objective truth would exist and the statement is false. You may be watching this video and thinking to yourself, man, I sure love it when people make self-defeating statements or communicate self-defeating ideas because it's super easy to refute, and I'm right there with you. It is incredibly funny to watch people make self-defeating statements, and that's exactly what we're going to see atheist YouTuber Paulogia do today. Now, Eric Hovind shared a tweet a couple days ago saying, Elvis Presley destroys atheist, and he plays a 51-second clip or a short montage of parts of a recent debate/interview that he had with Eric Hovind. And you can find this on Paulogia's Paulogia Live channel. The video is called Evolution versus Creation, Morality Edition, Eric Hovind and Paulogia. Now, we're going to watch this 51-second video. We'll make commentary as we make pauses, and then we'll look at another clip from the actual debate itself that I found interesting. But first off, you notice on the screen the word certain. The word certain and its other form, certainty, can be seen a lot in this clip that you're about to see and in the other clip we'll watch later. So, before we move forward, let's go to the dictionary to see how the word certain is defined. Now, the word certain has many different definitions, as you can see. Definition 1, something that is fixed or settled, such as a certain percentage of the profit. Definition number 2, certain is of a specific but unspecified character, quantity, or degree, like the house has a certain charm to it. Definition 3a, dependable or reliable, such as a certain remedy for the disease. Definition 3b, which is indisputable, in other words, something that can be known or proved to be true. For example, it is certain that we exist. Definition 4a is inevitable, like the certain advance of age. Or definition 4b, which is destined, used with a following infinitive, incapable of failing, like, for example, she is certain to do well. And definition number 5 is assured in mind or action. I am certain they are right. So definition number 5 has to do with confidence. Definition 3b and definition 5 are the two definitions of certain that are present in this 51-second clip that we're going to be seeing. And we're going to see in the video that Paulogia, for one reason or another, can't keep his definitions straight even though Eric Hovind could. Now, let's start from the beginning.
Can I be certain that Elvis Presley is the current president of the United States? Can I be certain of that?
You could be very certain about that. You could be have confidence about that galore.
Is it true?
Now, as you can see, Eric Hovind asks, can I be certain that Elvis Presley is the president of the United States? And Paulogia rightly responds that yes, you can be certain of that. You can have all the confidence in the world. And it is in this particular 12-second clip that we saw that both Eric Hovind and Paulogia were using the same definition of the word certain. But now, things are going to get a little weird.
True that Elvis Presley is the current president of the United States?
It is not.
And you're absolutely sure of that? You're certain of that?
No, because certainty doesn't play into it.
Wow! So, as we can see there, Eric Hovind asks Paulogia, is it true that Elvis Presley is not the president of the United States of America? And Paulogia rightly says it is not, meaning it is not true. And so then Eric Hovind asks him, can you be certain about that? And then Paulogia says, no, you can't be certain about that. And the reason why he says no is because Paulogia is still using definition number 5 of the word certain, which is assured in mind or action. But when Eric Hovind asks Paulogia if he can be certain that Elvis Presley is not the president of the United States of America, he's appealing to definition 3b. Is it true that Elvis Presley is not the president of the United States of America? Is that something that is known or can be proved to be true? The answer to that is yes. You look at Elvis Presley and the lifespan he lived from the year he was born to the year he died. And you can look at the list of all the presidents who were president of the United States during Elvis Presley's lifespan. And never at any point in Elvis Presley's life do you see that he became president of the United States. So you can actually know and prove to be true that Elvis Presley was not the president of the United States of America, either today or ever at any point in his life when he was alive on Earth. But because Paulogia is using a different definition of the word certain than Eric Hovind is, he gives you a wrong answer to Eric Hovind's question. Eric Hovind used the word certain correctly in his sentence. Paulogia, either intentionally or unintentionally, committed the fallacy of equivocation. He used a different meaning for the word certain than the one that Eric Hovind was saying in his question that he just asked. Now, let's continue in the video.
So you're not certain that Elvis Presley is not the current president of the United States?
I am confident that Elvis Presley is not the president of the United States, and I believe that I know that, but belief that I know that is not the same as knowing it.
Right. So can we have certainty in anything?
No.
Are you certain of that?
No.
There's the problem.
So, as we saw there at the end, Eric Hovind asks Paulogia, can we be certain about anything? And when he says certain, he means, can we know or prove to be true anything? And Paulogia's answer to that is no. In other words, what Paulogia is saying is that it is true that we cannot know or prove to be true anything. We can't be certain about anything. But Eric Hovind quickly realized that Paulogia made a self-defeating statement, which is why he asked him, well, can you be certain about that? And Paulogia realized the error of his statement, and he said no. So when asked by Eric Hovind if it's true that you cannot be certain about anything, Paulogia says no. In other words, Paulogia cannot be certain that you cannot be certain about anything. In other words, it is possible to be certain about things. But if it's possible to be certain about things, then Paulogia's belief that you can't know anything with certainty is obviously false. Now, when you go to the actual video that these clips are from, and you skip to the 30-minute and 7-second mark of the video, you see a very interesting exchange between Paulogia and Eric Hovind.
Yeah, that's where it falls apart again. Like you know, can you be certain of anything? You said no. And now you're arguing, I can be, you made the claim, I could be certain about my own thoughts, but then that goes against your earlier claims. So now you have to go, well, I can be mostly certain.
Well, this is part of the problem with the language about this, is that we use these colloquial phrases, and that's how it's easy to trip people up in this. They do think about these, their own maximum certainty as absolutely, even if there is a degree of certainty, above that. Also, people tend to be overly certain about things. Like they can be 100% convinced of a thing that is wrong. Well, I feel like you are using certainty and confidence as synonyms.
No. Can we have absolute certainty? And you would say no. And I would ask, are you absolutely certain of that? And you would have to say no.
That's correct.
And that means we can have absolute certainty. That's a contradiction.
But I said, no, we can't have certainty.
Right? And then I said, are you certain that we cannot have certainty? And you're going to say, no, I'm not certain of that. That means, therefore, it is possible that we could have certainty.
It is possible. Absolutely. You could convince me. You could convince me that there is such a thing as certainty.
I would say your very statement, we cannot have certainty, is you're having to dismiss it because it's an absurdity. Because to stay consistent, to hold your feet, to stand on your own foundation and be consistent, you'd have to say, I'm certain that I'm not certain of anything. I know that I don't have certainty. And at the same time, I don't know. it leaves you in this absurdity world. It leaves you in this world that doesn't make any sense.
And Eric Hovind does a good job of refuting Paulogia's logic that we saw in the clip on Twitter. Now, we see Paulogia in this clip claim that Eric Hovind was intentionally or unintentionally conflating the word certainty with confidence. He was using them as a synonym, but when you actually carefully listen to what Eric Hovind said in the clips on Twitter, and presumably in this video, when he was asking about the whole Elvis Presley scenario, Eric Hovind did not misuse either definition of the word certainty that was appealed to. When he asked Paulogia if he could be certain that Elvis Presley was the President of the United States of America, he was referring to the fifth definition of certain, which is assured in mind or action. In other words, the confidence thing that Paulogia is referring to. But when Eric Hovind asked Paulogia, can we be certain that Elvis Presley is not the President of the United States of America, he wasn't referring to definition number 5 when he was saying the word with certainty. He was referring to definition 3b, which is, can we know or prove to be true that Elvis Presley is not the President of the United States of America? Eric Hovind did not conflate, he did not equivocate the different definitions of the word certain in his different questions to Paulogia about Elvis Presley. When he was making a claim that had to do with confidence, he used the word certainly appropriately in his question. When he was asking if we could be certain that Elvis Presley was not the President of the United States of America, he was correctly referring to definition 3b, which is, can we know or prove to be true that Elvis Presley is not the President of the United States of America? Eric Hovind did not misuse the different definitions of certain. He used each definition appropriately depending upon the context he was using it. There were no mistakes on his part. The mistake was on Paulogia's part. He responded to Eric Hovind like he was appealing to definition 5 of the word certain, even though in the context that he was responding to, Eric Hovind was using definition 3b. When I look at atheist YouTubers like Paulogia making self-defeating statements in order to justify their worldview when confronted by a Christian creationist, and when I see Paulogia either intentionally or unintentionally using the wrong definition of the word certain and then claiming that Eric Hovind is the one who was misusing the definitions of the word certain, when I look at people like Paulogia when they do that, I wonder to myself, how did guys like this ever get popular? How do guys like this get over 100,000 subs on YouTube and get tens of thousands of people or more to watch just about every single one of their uploads? How does that happen? Of course, I know how this happens because I've been around a while on the apologetics scene and taking a view of the world, and you just pick up on these things when you do that. People have itching ears. They want to hear certain things. They want to hear that there is no God. They want to hear that the Bible is false and that Jesus is false and the gospel is false. They want to hear that billions of years and evolution and Big Bang cosmology is true. And they want to see evolutionists and atheists like Paulogia criticize creationists because it really makes them feel good about themselves and the worldview they hold to. Never mind the fact that you have to hold to self-defeating statements and ideas in order to maintain your atheistic evolutionary worldview. Never mind that there's no actual observable evidence in science or history that supports the atheistic evolutionary worldview being true. Forget all that stuff, man. As long as you say what these people want to hear, they will follow you and revere you, and they will share your content far and wide, which is how someone like Paulogia can get popular, whereas someone like me, who tells the truth no matter how inconvenient it is to myself or other people, we don't get any kind of popularity on the internet. But I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with not being popular on the internet because I would much rather say what needs to be said and say the truth than sacrifice or compromise on the truth in order to be popular. That's just the kind of guy that I am.